Hey guys, it's Chey. Welcome to the channel if you are new, and if you're not, hey boo. So we do have a little bit of a change of scenery, so I hope you guys are liking the background. As you guys can tell, we are here doing a colorful look, okay? Y'all, these Texas allergies here have been kicking my butt. I have been super congested to the point where I actually developed pink eye from allergies. So I've kind of been MIA due to that. So I wanted to come back with a bang, and I think this eye look is definitely the way to come back, okay? I did use a couple new drugstore launches. For the eyes, we did use the Glamlite Lord of the Rings palette. Now, I did ask you guys on my Instagram what palettes you guys wanted to see me use first, and you guys picked this one. This is what the color story looks like. So it was a little bit more difficult for me to figure out what kind of eye look I wanted to do. Overall, I think the look came out pretty good. So if you guys want to see the products that I used and hear my thoughts, then you already know what to do. If you like it here, if you like my vibe, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, okay? And we're gonna go ahead and get into this testing new makeup. Hey guys, so I am still a little bit congested, but that's not going to stop me from doing this beat. So we're going to go ahead and prep the skin by refreshing the skin using this Thayer's facial mist, and we're going to let it dry down. And because of these allergies, my eyes have been super dry, so I'm making sure that I prep underneath them using the P.LOUISE Rain On Me Hyaluronic Eye Gel, and I'm also going to use that on these nasal folds. So we're also going to use the Too Faced lip injection to prep these dry lips. For blurring primer, I'm taking this NYX Blur Sunscreen SPF 30. I haven't used this in a while, so I'm just trying to use it up. And as you can see, it doesn't leave a white cast or anything. My skin has been a little bit more on the drier side, so I didn't want anything to kind of mattify it too much. I'm trying out this new L'Oreal Infallible Brow Lamination Gel. Everyone has been raving about this gel, so I was like, let me try it. And it does hold the gels. It does hold the brows really nicely. Now, I will say you want to definitely wait a minute or two before filling in your brows. Me, I am not a patient person, so I didn't really wait, and I had a little bit of a hard time filling in my brows because it was just gliding from the gel. So definitely use this after you fill in your brows, or if you're going to wait to let the brow gel dry. So of course we're going to go ahead and get into this eye look. I'm priming the eyes using the P.LOUISE base in RUMOUR number 4, and we are using the Glamlite Lord of the Rings Middle Earth palette, and this is what it looks like. So I did mark that I used Gandalf, but I actually started with the shade Gollum, which is a purpley mauve color at the bottom. So I'm just using that as my transition shade, and then I'm going to go ahead and blend out using Even Star, which is a beautiful lilac shade, and I'm just tapping that a little bit on the lid as well. Then we're going to deepen it up using this burgundy color called Gimli, and then we're going to go ahead and use this Made by Mitchell color case, and I'm using this mint green to cut my crease. And then once that is all blended out, we're going to go ahead and go back into the palette, and I'm going to be taking Even Star, which is that purple right there, and I'm going to set the outer corner with that first, and then I'm going to go into this beautiful green shade called Mary, and I'm using that to set the lid. Then we're going to take some shimmer using Rivendell, which is this beautiful gold shade. It's super sparkly. I did wet my brush just because I want it to be pretty intense, but I wanted to have a little purple on the outer corner, so I went into the shade called Arwen, which does have a blue glitter throughout the purple, and I think that that looked really good. I also added a little bit of black to the outer corner, and then we are just cleaning up the outer corner and lining the lash line with a black liner. I'm not doing a wing, but I am just lining the lash line. And then we're going to go ahead and do this on the other side off camera. But before then, I'm going to take the DANESSA MYRICKS Blurring Balm Powder. And I'm trying to focus this mostly in the T-zone because that's where I get oily. But I forgot that I do have a tendency to get oily on my cheeks as well. So I pretty much put it on my cheeks as well. But I made it a point to try to not put it all over the face, but essentially that's what I did. So we are done with the eye, and this is what we're looking like. So now we are going into color corrector. This is the Huda Beauty Faux Filter Color Corrector, and to blend out, we're going to use these new Morphe Buttery Blends brushes. Now, the one I'm using is the concealer brush. And guys, this brush is super fluffy. So that's one thing I did notice with these brushes. So as you can see, it blended out pretty okay, but it definitely took away the coverage of the concealer. And it was a little patchy when I was blending it. So I am going to go over these areas with a beauty blender, but as you can see, like, there's really no color to that color corrector. It's pretty much kind of gone by now. So here I am just smoothing everything out with my beauty blender, and we are going to go ahead and get into foundation. I'm still trying out this HMB Silky Matte Weightless Foundation, and this is in the shade 18W, and it looks really good. So I'm just spraying my face before blending because, like I said, my skin's been a little bit on the drier side, but I love the way that this foundation just melts into the skin. I am in my winter shade, so doing my makeup is pretty challenging for me during this time because I still feel like I'm a bronzed babe in the summer. So I picked up this e.l.f. Camo Concealer, or bronzer and contour, and this is way too deep, and this is in 7 Tan Deep. I definitely should have picked a bronzer that was lighter because this was too dark for me, and it kind of made the overall look a little bit off. But you know, we're just gonna roll with it, and I'm just gonna go ahead and blend that out with my sponge to try to soak up some product. And then I'm taking the e.l.f. Camo blush in Cheeky Lychee, and I don't really use these blushes because I don't know, I just feel like it's not that pigmented. As you can see, it really shears out. So most of the time I do try to let this blush dry down a little bit, but you do have to really kind of build it up. Then we're going to go ahead and use the HMB concealer. This shade was a little light for me, and that is another thing that I do. So I went really heavy on the bronzer, and then this concealer was just a little too light for me to be using. I am wearing the shade 4N in this concealer, and I'm using that same concealer brush, and as you can see, it is shearing it out. So, and really with this concealer, I did notice that it was grabbing and looking really splotchy. So I was kind of disappointed, and the coverage, of course, was not there. And I know that that's from this brush because I've used this concealer before and I liked the coverage. So these brushes are just really fluffy and are going to shear out any product that you use. So I am just taking my sponge and blending out underneath that contour, and then I am going to take that underneath the eyes to kind of even out those areas where I used the brush. But pretty much, like, as you can see, it is light and sheer under the eyes, so that's not really a good combination, but of course we are just trusting the process and rolling through it. I am trying out this new setting powder to me. So this is the L'Oreal Blurfection, and this is actually in the shade Translucent Light. I definitely should have picked up a yellow shade because this also contributed to why the undertone on my face was just off. In the wintertime, I'm extremely golden, and a little bit on the lighter side. So I'm gonna have to try to tweak how I do my makeup for this time of year. So I'm trying the new CoverGirl bronzer, and I really liked it. It looked really beautiful and natural on the skin. I didn't have any issues with this, and because, like I said, using this Morphe brush, it just diffused easily. So if you're looking for something more natural on the face, I would definitely say to grab these brushes. But if you are a full coverage girly, I wouldn't recommend it because these brushes are very fluffy, so it's not gonna hold a lot of product, but it is gonna diffuse it and blend it really easily. So I did put that bronzer from CoverGirl on to the nose to do my nose contour, and then we are on to trying out some new blushes. So I have the CoverGirl blush and Milani one, and I wanted to try out the Milani one. And y'all, the fallout, I barely tapped my brush in and there was so much product on the brush. It was crazy. But as you can see, I picked up this shade called Sparkling Rose, and this very much gave more highlighter than blush. I will say that this blush color is a little bit lighter for me, so I would pick up a deeper shade, but I love the glow that it gives. But yeah, I would pick up a different shade for me. So now I am baking using that same L'Oreal Blurfection powder, and you know, I am loving how blurring and smoothing it is. I just need a different color, but it really did smooth the face. And because I'm crazy, I took this brightening powder from HMB Cosmetics in light, and as you can see, it is very light. It is giving white underneath the eye. So I did dust off that powder, and this is actually a HMB brush, and I really like this brush. I probably should have used that as concealer for my concealer. So now I'm just doing my lower lash line using the same colors in the crease that I did on the using the same colors from the crease on the lower lash line. So that's what we're doing. And then I'm going back into that same mint shade from that color case, and I'm using that as my eyeliner. And these color case creams are super creamy, and it's super pigmented, and it really doesn't budge at all in the waterline. So as you can see, it is absolutely gorgeous. So now I'm starting to feel the look and like it. So I'm taking this one size powder to try to add some color back to the face, but it didn't really save that much of it. And I wanted to add some glow. So this is the new e.l.f. Halo Glow Highlighter in Prosecco Poppin'. And I love a good highlight, so I'm highlighting my nose, and then I'm actually going to add a little bit more glow on to the cheek. And this is such a beautiful champagne gold. I think I want to get a little bit of a deeper shade, but I really did like the color of this highlighter, and it blended out really nicely. It didn't look streaky or anything, so I'm actually going to add that onto the inner corner, and I'm just pretty much intensifying that because I felt like there was just a disconnect from the lower lash line to the inner corner. So I just added a little extra pop. As you can see, it is blinding as you pack it on, so you do have the ability to build it up the more glow you want. So now I'm refreshing the skin using that facial mist again and letting it dry down. And then we're going to go ahead and get into the DANESSA MYRICKS Blurring Balm Setting Powder just to lock in the face. So as we're doing that, you see it's looking really good. And then I took that same powder puff and used that all over the face. And I think what I did wrong here is that it had that light powder still on, so it kind of made my face look like a weird undertone. So here I am doing my lip combo. I am taking the e.l.f. lip liner in dark cocoa, and then for my lip color, I'm gonna be taking a Morphe lipstick It is their Soul Matte Whipped Liquid Lipstick in the shade Wifey. I actually thought it was going to be a little bit lighter, so I'm just taking the Kimchi Beauty lipstick in the shade 19 to kind of make it a little bit more pink. And then I did top it off with the e.l.f. Plumping Gloss in Paloma. So I did my hair, and this is the final look. What do you guys think? It actually came out really cute, and I love her. I did miss my hair appointment because I had a pink eye, so this is what I'm working with, and that's the final video. Bye guys.